Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Mind, Body, and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for the month of November 2019. So, we're entering Scorpio season. Happy birthday, Scorpio. I hope you are well. We're also going to have a new moon in Scorpio on the 28th, I think, of October. I'm going to put out a video for that to get more into that energy, but I can say already it's going to be a very interesting conversation between Uranus in Taurus and the moon in Scorpio. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are as well. Okay, so I have a bit of a difficult setting here, but we can make this happen, don't you worry, Scorpio. Okay, so this is a general reading for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. And if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Do not try to fit it in. Do not try to stretch it to fit if it's not your reading. You will know, don't worry. Okay, now let's see what's the energy for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. Okay, Eight of Swords. It's your current energy. The Nine of Cups is your challenge, apparently. The Five of Swords is your focus. I don't read reversals, so I'm just going to put it like this, though it is a hint. Nine of Wands being your advice. And the Empress being your future energy. Not sure I have space for all this. And bottom of the deck, we have the World. Beautiful. All right. This is your underlying energy, the World. So you're obviously going through transformation, which is very fitting, Scorpio, since it's your season and you're all about transformation, right? You're all about, well, the World being not transformation in the sense of death, but transformation in the sense of like ending a cycle. You know, you're done with this cycle. You're done with this skin that you've been shedding off. It's time for something new. And there may be resistance to that, but we're gonna get into that in a moment. Let's clarify these cards first. So why is the Eight of Swords here as your current energy? Actually, let's just clarify them all. Why these cards here? Okay, so we have the Ten of Wands. Just gonna put them like this. Not space in here. Okay, so Ten of Wands with the Eight of Swords. Okay, we have the Eight of Cups with the Nine of Cups as your challenge. We have the Four of Wands with the Five of Swords as your focus. We have the Knight of Swords with the Knight of Swords with the Nine of Wands as your advice. And we have the Fool with the Empress as your future energy. Well. And we have Two of Cups with the World as your underlying energy. I'm just going to leave them here. I'm sure you see them. Probably see them better than if I wave them in front of the camera. So Scorpio, as I said, the world has to do with a real change. It has to do with a change that happens because you've learned your lessons. It doesn't happen because you're pushing for change. It doesn't happen because you don't like your current situation, you just want to push it away or move forward, you know, like it's not that type of like or dislike, I'm going to change it and that's it. It's something that you've learned your lesson. You've done this for quite a while. You've been through this cycle for a while. And whatever this cycle meant for you, seems that you finally don't need to repeat that any longer. And we have a hint here. It may have to do with relationships, it may have to do the way you relate to other people. And Scorpio, you tend to be quite intense in relationships and very, very deep. And sometimes people cannot really follow you in that depth of thought and feeling that you can embody. And that can be quite frustrating sometimes, I suppose. But it also can give you a certain amount of power over somebody else when you go that deep and they're not aware. So let's see how that goes. I don't necessarily feel this is a power game type of reading, but it's definitely having to do with the way you're showing up in relationships, you know. And I think that's a good thing because we always want to get more, like, closer and closer, first of all, to ourselves and being able to be more authentic. And the Two of Cups talks exactly about this, like being really authentic and having your cup full and showing up in a relationship from an equal partnership type of relationship, whatever that is, with whether it's romantic, whether it's with friends. Is like not trying to, not having ulterior motives, or not trying to manipulate, or not trying to get something out of people, also not trying to please them in order to get something back. It's that this is who I am, and that's it. And I just want to know who you are. And that beautiful blend happens naturally. It's not a bond of codependency, it's a bond of love, and that's not binding. I hope that makes sense to you. That's nourishing. Okay, and we have as your current energy the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Wands. And yeah, maybe in that relationship you've been feeling a little bit like you've been carrying way too much, like you've been carrying the whole relationship on your shoulders. And again, this is not just romantic relationship. This can have to do with any kind of relationship right now, whoever is relevant for you. It can be at work, it can be at um with friends or family. But you know, when you feel that you've been putting in a lot of work and you've been carrying so much responsibility on your shoulders, and that responsibility, not really sure where that's coming from, and but it's good for you to look at why do I feel the need to carry more than it's mine to carry. And with the Eight of Swords here, I feel like um you can't really see it, can you? Not right now. And it's fine, you know. When I was focusing into your energy, I felt something quite strong in my third eye. And that's the way I actually feel. I first feel the physical sensations, then the information comes through. And I thought about Ace of Swords in that time, because this is like when you get blinded, you know, and you don't really know what's happening in your environment, and your mind's telling you stories after stories after stories, and trying to it's panicking, you know. There's that resistance when you're moving towards a new cycle, you know. And this is an 8, it's actually quite close to a 10, where it's the end of the cycle. um so your mind is like starting to freak out a little bit, because it doesn't really understand what's going on here, and it puts up the resistance. But you being blindfolded and tied up here, and you see her whole dress is red. That's a very good point, a very good like hint to switch your attention from your mind to your body right now, and feel through feel your way through out of this not very fortunate position that you can feel yourself in. You know, this person's like, all these swords are here, and she's like tied up, and she's blindfolded, she's left out for dead or whatever. She's a prisoner. But these are swords energy. This is a prisoner of your own mind. And your thoughts right now are not really helping you. So it is important to not give it too much You're not your mind, and what the stories that you hear right now from your mind that maybe tell you that you're carrying too much or tell you that you should carry too much, are not to be trusted right now. Your body is to be trusted. Your physical sensations in your body, the emotional state in your body awareness, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the breath. This is something that's really, really important, and that helps us like disrupt this story that's been killing, not killing us, but like being fed to us on like a broken record, that makes us feel helpless and hopeless, and like that there's like we have no power, and powerlessness. That's how this card feels. And you know but bring your attention to your body. You can sense your way out of this trap. You can sense where I don't know, just like slowly moving, and maybe cutting yourself free with one of these swords, but on one, not all. Make sure like feeling the you see that the land is not exactly straight. There's like water and land, and we can trip. So that's what's important. Like, go into your senses, go into your intuition, feel with your actual senses, not with your mind, because your mind is not reliable at this point. And when you do that, you're gonna figure out that this is again an end of your spiritual cycle, or the end of you've done the growth that you needed to do from this story, whatever this story is. Again, having to do with the way you relate. And if you relate to people from this place, you're inviting in abuse, and you're not aware of it. So don't not it's not about guilt tripping here. It's not about like feeling in any way that doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. It's a natural part of the process. But it is important to realize that this is not the way I can relate into a healthy relationship. This is, and you're learning that in this month, apparently. After this Libra season, where we've all worked with our ideas of relationships and how do we show up in relationships. You may feel like this because, sorry, I'm going to go back to that thought in a second. You may feel like this because you've been carrying too much, but then the question is, why am I carrying too much? It might be something that you're learning through your Libra season. We're still Libra season. What I'm doing is reading, so this is the current energy, but it may also be the current energy whenever you see these this video, because you may see it now in the beginning, you may see it at the end, you may see it in the middle of the month. It may, if it resonates with you, it resonates with the energy that you're familiar with at the time. So if in relationships you feel like you've been carrying too much and you feel like you don't have much power, think about why do you have the need, or what are you learning from this story? What are you learning from having to carry this much? When are you going to drop this load because it's not yours to carry? Well, sometimes we carry too much because we're trying to protect the ones we love, or the ones we care about, or because we think somehow that we need to prove ourselves, or that we need to show the people that we are responsible and caring. But then people just get used to for us to carry that load, and they're just going to give us more. And if it's done out of love for a child, for example, for a sibling, or for your family, or your parents, or your spouse, your partner, we think that we're helping them by taking them off their load, but they're not going to learn how to carry it ever. They're not ever going to strengthen enough to be able to carry. It's fine to help every once in a while, but not take upon ourselves other people's karma, really, or spiritual charge. And as you're challenged right now, okay, sorry about that. this is not, as I said, a great setting. Ta-da, ta-da. Okay, close enough. I got a candle burning there. Flickering. All right, so we have the Nine of Cups with the Eight of Cups here as your challenge. So yeah, in this place where you feel powerless and you feel like you've been carrying so much, it's pretty hard for you to see what is it that you really wish for and to accomplish those wishes. And it's hard for you to remove yourself from the situation in order to get what you need, in order to get to fulfill your own needs here. Fulfilling other people's needs is not going to fulfill yours because they just get used to that and they're not going to necessarily fulfill your needs, or if they do, it's just again that relationship of codependency. So what you're learning now, this is like the grade, this is graduation, this is what you're graduation from, this lesson that you don't need to repeat anymore because this is like the end of it, right? You're learning how to take care of your own needs here, and you're learning to remove yourself from situations that are not helping you, that are making you feel like this. Sometimes we can uh, fix a relationship by taking responsibility for our own thoughts and needs and things like that, but sometimes we just cannot, sometimes the dynamics is just not healthy. It doesn't have and it doesn't have what it takes, whether you or the other, maybe you're triggering each other too much, maybe you're suffering of same wounds. And that's a lesson as well, whatever that type of relationship is. Even at work, it can be an abusive type of relationship with a colleague or with a boss or something. But if you're like um if you're not able to fix it in any way by simply not putting energy into that dynamics, whatever that dynamics is, of if you feel powerless, then the other person must feel powerful. If you're feeling like you're carrying too much, then the other person must feel like uh not necessarily light, but like they're entitled to carry less or something like that. They kind of get used to that dynamics. But if you drop your load and if you feel your way out of this situation, then you can get here and start like take care of your own needs rather than other people's, and then the relationship changes. But if it doesn't change, you may have to really leave something behind, and that's leaving behind can be literally leaving the relationship, but can also be leaving this emotional space that you're in right now, right? By doing that, sometimes the relationship kind of fixes it by itself in a way, because when there's, it takes two to tango. But when it's not possible, leaving might be the case, might be needed. Try it out for yourself. And these things can get quite extreme, and my heart goes to those people that find themselves in incredibly abusive relationships, and they find it very difficult to leave because of fear, because of physical fear for your physical safety, or your reputation, or whatever, like something that's quite intense. But I feel like the energy is available for you right now to end that, whatever that is, one way or another. Being able to stand up for yourself and remove yourself from the situation by trusting your inner wisdom here, trusting the body wisdom, trusting when you feel the nervous system starts charging you with certain hormones, and you can start understanding a little bit better what makes you feel good and what doesn't. This feels scary. Okay, I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna run, I'm gonna hide, I'm gonna, it doesn't make sense to go too deep into this, sorry. It's also very specific. um yeah, you have this chance to empower yourself, and you have this chance to let go of something. Here, this is both two cards are talking about letting go of something. Here you're gonna have to drop all these um ones here, and this person is moving away from this emotional situation because he had grown it, right? And he's also carrying this. See, all three people are dressed up in red. It's all about body awareness here. It's all about trusting. Like, this person needs to understand his body's limits, right? If it's too much to carry, then he is going to collapse completely, and nobody will reach their destinations. This one won't get built. Wherever he's taking this is not going to happen unless he knows how to, maybe he can drop them and go and take them two by two, stuff like that. And this person knows that this is not what he needs right now. And he's going for what he needs someplace else in order to reach this place of self fulfillment. Your focus is. This looks a lot more and more like a relationship reading. Sorry for those that are not in relationships, but like romantic in a sense, but no, not necessarily. Okay, so your focus is apparently where you've been fighting all the time, off, on and off. This Five of Swords is a card of victory, but it's a victory at a cost. It's when you stepping on someone in order to lift yourself up, and the other way around. It goes back and forth all the time. It's petty conflicts, really. It's if it's a relationship, it's fight after fight after fight over egoic stuff, not something that matters, and it's not a real victory. This is gonna come back. And the four of wands here. mm, I think these fights go over recognition, recognizing each other. Is that part of the ego that I've accomplished this or I've accomplished that, or I've done this, give me the recognition that I need. And that type of dynamics is not going to happen, like when we fight for recognition, we're not really going to get it, not that way. Not when we're stepping on bodies, not when we're demanding it. There are people, and I'm not saying it's you or the other person, there are people that are always like waving their accomplishments in front of you to sort of like gain points, and you're like, okay, so um some of them have been quite skewed, and we all kind of perceive ourselves and our deeds in different ways than the other people do. And just like saying again and again that, okay, I've done this or I've done that for you or for us, or I have accomplished this and I've accomplished that in this relationship, it's not going to really open the other person's eyes to see. It's just going to create more resentment and resistance. And yeah, be careful there. I'm going to the advice now. If that's the case, be really careful, because it's just not going to. I mean, it's good to see it. It's good to see it for what it is, and it's good to recognize. Actually, it's good to recognize yourself for yourself, not necessarily to convince the other person that you've accomplished this or that. Once you are truly giving yourself credit for your accomplishments, other people start seeing them too. But if you're looking for that um recognition outside of yourself, it's like enabling you, um may work for a while, but it's not going to work forever to feel secure within yourself, you know? Hope that makes sense to you. Because the Four of Wands talks a lot about the security, and the fours in general talk about structure, stability, and security. And you can't get your inner stability forever from others. You building up for yourself. That's why you're actually going to this Two of Cups here, and ending that need for having to be seen in a certain way. And we have the Nine of Wands, which came out in reverse. I said I don't really read reverses, but sometimes it's just a hint that I always go generally through the bright and dark side of a card, to show both aspects. But in this case, I feel like your advice is to let down your guard. Like you're tired, you feel wounded. You see this nine, this person is like has a head wound here, which makes me think of this Eight of Swords here, which is energy of the mind, right? Like it is in your mind that you perceive things in a certain way, that you need to defend yourself this much. And I'm not saying that's not a real wound. It is, but it needs attention, and you need to know where to put your attention. This person's dressed in red as well. And counterintuitively, when you feel like you have a sort of mind loop that you're caught in, it doesn't help to focus more on the mind, and because you go in a trance of trying to solve the problem from the mind, but that's not what's going to solve the problem. I know I'm repeating myself, but because this message comes through again and again and again with the red in this important whenever you feel the need to defend yourself, whenever you feel like you're carrying too much, whenever you feel that you're trapped, um go back to your body, sense through your body, disrupt the thought process, and see and feel through with your other senses. They're there to help you and to serve you, as your mind is just sometimes we put a little bit too much on the mind. But there's growth here. There's this process is really, really important, and we all gonna go at some point in our life through a version of this. It's Yeah, it is part of our growth, right? The Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is somebody also who's like, he's the wounded warrior. He's been through many fights. He's learned the lessons. It sometimes can be a little bit patronizing as well. Like, I know how this one will work. I know how exactly how this is going to, not patronizing, sorry. Like a little bit of a, how's it called? Somebody who knows it all. Okay, I've been through there, been there, done that. I know where this is gonna work. I know where to put the defenses, but doesn't give much space for spontaneity anymore. Also, doesn't give much space for trying something new and going for in a new direction. We're just gonna end up completely erecting this huge shield around us, and we're never going to experience anything new because we're afraid. Find it interesting that first you have a 10, then you have the 9, though. So maybe you need to take a step back here and look a little bit through your it's like spiritual growth that happened, your steps in this cycle, that I'm sure you can recognize by now what cycle we're talking about, and see kind of like where you felt secure, or where you felt you've been carrying too much, and what brought you here. Is your advice. And Knight of Swords talks about communication and about action. The Knight of Swords is a very, very, very fast moving energy, and somebody who's really going to cares about the truth and cares about communication of the truth and doesn't really care much about other people's feelings, to be honest, sometimes to a fault, a little bit blunt and direct, but sometimes you need that. When you are in this space for long enough, you may have we may need this type of energy to propel you forward. Anger is an emotion designed to protect us as well and keep us safe in one way or another. And anger can be channeled into energy that can propel us forward, can help us move away from a situation that doesn't serve us any longer. Use that anger in that sense. Communicate what needs to be communicated, and expand your mind. Knight of Swords, all knights talk about expansion. It's about growth. It's about, like, you know expanding your mind realm in this case, in order to be able to completely remove yourself from a situation that does not serve you any longer, or from your own thought patterns and beliefs that hold you back, really. Because in the end, that's what it always comes back to. These situations that we find ourselves in, the dynamics, they're a reflection of where we are at and what we're working with in terms of our inner wounds and traumas that we need our attention to heal. So we're kind of manifesting these situations as a way to remind us where the healing needs to be focused on. And yeah, in this case, it has to do with relationship, and it has to do with setting yourself free from a situation that makes you feel powerless and heavy, and doesn't allow you see to see for your own needs here. It's nobody's fault here, really. Like, even if the other people make you feel like this, it's you that feels like this. It's your own wounds. They do what they do based on their own shit that they're going to have to heal and take care of. Telling you, like, blaming other people doesn't matter. It is important to understand that, yes, even if other people's actions do hurt me, this it is my responsibility to deal with that. I can't tell you all the time, you make me feel, I know I feel like this, and your actions aren't helping. But no matter how horrible those actions are, this is a really difficult thing, a message. I'm struggling with this. Because I know the difficulty of this energy. I know how hard it is when you really are put in a victim position, when you really are abused. It's not easy to move away from that. It's not easy to know that I have some power somewhere down there and I can learn how to channel it. It's really, really difficult, and it's really complicated, especially, like, okay, when I'm out of it, when I'm in a different space, in a different energy, I can see it, and I have both compassion and love for it, but also I have the understanding of what's really happening. But when I'm in there, it's very, very hard to see. That's why the blindfold. So that's why I'm like, I feel like this message can be very triggering for some people, and I'm really sorry for that. It's just probably my inability to communicate this properly. I think that was the other way around. But this message comes from a place of deep love, compassion, and understanding. And I'm just saying that using your anger towards other is not really going to help. What's going to help is using that anger to move yourself out of that situation. And it's not about blaming anyone. It's about forgiving, really. That's what really helps us set ourselves free. Forgiving the abuser, forgiving the fact that many times when you're in if you've been a victim of some type of abuse, the victim generally tends to feel internalized shame for some reason. And though the mind tells us like there's no reason to feel this shame, I haven't done anything wrong, it can happen that shame is there somewhere, there hidden. Ask any victim of just look at the stories, doesn't matter. And I'm going off a tangent here a little bit, but I think it is important to understand that blaming yourself or blaming the victims in general is not helping. But also, it doesn't help to just have an incredible amount of hatred towards the. I mean, that's going to happen naturally, but forgiveness is necessary in order to truly, truly heal from whatever happened. Yeah, that's a very heavy message. I don't even know how we got there. Whew. Sorry. Um, the good news is that the Empress and the Fool are here as your future energy. So once you're coming out of this incredible struggle to empower yourself, you're gonna be hell yes empowered. This is the Empress. She's like the feminine energy, but she's like in her the feminine energy in her highest power. She rules. She's an authority here. And that authority manifests in a different way than the emperor, which is masculine energy. The feminine energy, the empress, the divine feminine, they call it a lot, is about the power of vulnerability. It's about the power of love. It's about the power of nurturing and the power of caring. They say that it's not the survival of the, I don't know who says that. I need to double check though. It's not about the survival of the fittest or the survival of the strongest, the survival of the nurtured. And I really believe that, to be honest, because I think that when we are deeply nurtured and when we're nurturing ourselves and we had enough nurturing in our childhood, she's like the proverbial mother. She's always depicted pregnant most of the time and has to do with creativity and nurturing again. When we are deeply nurtured in our childhood, we are very well equipped to nurture ourselves later, and we are very well equipped to deal with pretty much whatever comes our way. And that's why I feel like there's a survivor of the nurtured, well, and the nurturer. The Empress, she's really, that's her thing, right? She's incredibly connected to her body. She's all about sensuality. This Venus in Taurus, it's like sensuality, Venus at home in Taurus. Love, connection to the planet, connection to the earth. So you have the crops here. Understanding that not everything needs to be um done in an outwards way. There's a lot of like inner work, and there's a lot of she's in that waiting for the cycles to go in that natural way. And the Fool, okay, it's a new cycle. You have the world and the Fool as neutral energy, the world as the underlying energy. Is a very clear confirmation that all this thing has served its purpose. You've learned what you needed to learn. You learned how to remove yourself. You learned how to stand up for yourself. You've learned how to communicate what is needed. You learned how to save yourself here, You're becoming your own hero. You're becoming your own savior. And then that hero ends this story, and then it goes to the next one, where the lesson, you have faith and trust within yourself. You completely graduated. You come back to that place where feeling deeply empowered and connected to yourself and connected to your body and connected to the cycles of the universe, really. You have faith. The Fool is a leap of faith. The Fool is about starting this completely blank new slate, like it's your new canvas, and you paint a new story. And this story will be a story of full empowerment. So hats off to you, Scorpio. That is absolutely amazing work. And this is not easy to deal with. No matter what was your degree of trauma here that you're healing, it can be very, very light in a sense, but it can also be quite heavy. So yeah, well, you've been through that, through the reading, so it can go both ways. I'm just gonna pull out card from the Rumi Oracle, Beyond the Threshold of Fear. Hell yes. Hell yes. There's a lot of fear in this situation. And there's a lot of fear in this situation. Sorry, I don't see it. And beyond the threshold of fear is where you find your empowerment. And that doesn't mean to ignore fear, or you'll never really become fearless. You can be fearful, but by really taking the fear into account and feeling through it, you're learning the wisdom, you're learning how to operate, and you're learning to unfreeze yourself. This is freeze mode. I like you talk about nervous system. This is freeze mode. You're learning how to unfreeze yourself from that situation. Just gonna read a little bit. Oh my god, this reading is long. I really haven't intended that. I never do, but I end up quite long. Okay, beyond the threshold of fear. Enter the lion's jungle. Don't think about getting hurt. Fearful thoughts are phantoms of the mind. No one is harmed in this jungle. Everything is compassion and love. It is your fear holding you back, like a bar behind a door. From Rumi. This is a poem from Rumi. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the guidance. So this oracle comes with spiritual guidance for you. You have broken through a barrier, a self-imposed barrier of fear. Self-imposed barrier. This is a barrier of your mind. Eight of Swords. Swords is mind energy. So you are, oh my god, this is like so on point. So you have broken through a barrier, a self-imposed barrier of fear, whether it seemed to originate from within your consciousness or from an external set of circumstances. Yes. That held you back from taking the steps you are now taking or just about to take. These steps may feel strange, new, uncertain, and exciting. Your mind might not have received the memo that fear-based existence is no longer in operation for you. It may need a loving, tender, reassuring, and firm update that the relationship you have with fear is now rather different. You are the witness, not the victim. Hell yeah. Thank you, Rumi. Your consciousness is strong enough to hold it in compassion. You don't collapse under its weight. In fact, it is becoming less and less substantial for you. When it is there, it seems less convincing than what it once appeared to be. Compelling still at times, perhaps, but not anywhere near as powerful as it once was. That power has been claimed by your heart instead. So give your what was I? So give your mind the memo. Get used to the new way and take the steps. Test your legs. You'll find them powerful and ready to go. Get set to fly. Test your wings. Trust this one. Daring is the other. You'll find them enthusiastic for flight and ready to learn to ride the current's purpose, built for soaring to great heights. Trust in your vision. Without the murky filter of fear, it is sharp and clear. You can see what is meant for you, what is true for you, what is beckoning you forward now. Take the running leap. There is no darkness and light for you anymore, just life living free and clear. I'll be running and flying beside you. We'll soar and dive in, rise together, let's play. Sorry, my reading wasn't great for this one. When it says I'll be running and flying beside you, it's like talking for Rumi. All right, my beloveds, I really, really hope that this reading was helpful for you. It was quite heavy, but this is what Scorpio energy is all about. It's about healing this traumatic past. It's about uh, deep transformation and about empowerment. And this is very close to your the core and the essence of the Scorpio energy and Scorpio season. So thank you so much for doing this work and for being here with me. And if you resonate with this reading, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you here soon, my darlings. Have a beautiful birthday.